welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Coming up, the Dominica State College graduates 289, a new Meteorological Office for Dominica, and a $2 million contract has been signed for the completion of the Penville to Vieille Case Road. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories right after this.
A lot of bathtubs are blamed for bruises. Some staircases are accused of being responsible for broken bones. Doors are occasionally viewed suspiciously as causing lesions. A high percentage of tables are accused of producing bleeding or trauma. Violence against women is a crime, and it's everyone's responsibility. It's inexcusable. If you're a victim or witness of physical or psychological violence or abuse, seek help and denounce the perpetrator.
Thank you for staying with us. Penville constituents will soon benefit from improved road networks. A $2 million contract was signed on Friday among 11 contractors of the Penville area for the reconstruction of the Penville to Vieille Case Road. The Honorable Prime Minister Vieille Case, who was present at the signing, gave a brief history of work done on that particular road.
As you know, we widened it in 2002, 2003. It was a very narrow road back then when I became a member of parliament, and every single road in Penville and the constituency was in bad shape. Every single road. As a matter of fact, in a place called Carib, or we say Quaib, the buses were not going down there. The buses were refusing to go down there because of the state of the road. The drains were deep, very deep, as high as some cases, as high as 7-8 feet. Very, very treacherous. Lahore Road was cut by Libla in 1973 before he left office. And that road had never been surfaced. And Libla left office, and then the governments never followed through with surfacing the road. And we surfaced this Lahore Road.
The Prime Minister says the project will bring about employment and stimulate economic activity in the Penville area.
We expect quite a number of people to be employed under this project. If you have 11 contractors and everybody employs on average about 5 people, then you understand the number of people who will be employed over an extended period of time.
Each contractor will be responsible for a particular section of the road. According to the Honorable Prime Minister, the roads will be 6 inches thick. He reminded that the roads constructed in 2001 in that area under the Labour Party administration are still intact, and he hopes that this new road will follow suit. The Prime Minister informed that work should commence as early as Monday. Meanwhile, Pitted Savan constituents will finally see the completion of a road project which had begun in their community. Honorable Minister for Public Works Reuben Blackmore said at a press conference on Friday that work should resume next week.
Today they will sign these contracts. It is just about $2 million. No? $2 million which will remain in Penville. Because, as I understand it, maybe the only thing they have to buy out of Penville is the cement. The tariff is coming from Penville. They will use local trucks. The labor is from Penville. So you'll have about $2 million circulating in the economy in Penville, which would help all of the people and families who will be employed under this project.
We'll bring you more from that press conference in a subsequent newscast. The Dominica State College put on the grand affair for its 12th commencement ceremony on Thursday, October 16 on its new grounds. 249 students took the much-anticipated walk down the aisle to receive their associate degrees and certificates, witnessed by family and friends. The graduating class of 2014 means that more than 4,000 students have successfully met the requirements for the respective degrees since the institution opened its doors. The Honorable Education Minister Peter Seja, who promised government's continued support to the success of the State College, in his remarks to students described not only the value of a good education but of a DSc degree.
with an associate degree from Dominica State. I am certain that you are now able to demonstrate core knowledge, skills, attitudes, and competencies needed to be successful in the 21st century. You can confidently contribute to progress in your communities and, of course, further afield.
College Chairman Brian Mead reported on the institution's achievements in recent times, its ability to increase enrollment, and mandate that all lecturers be holders of master's degrees by 2015. Dr. Donald Peters, president of the Dominica State College, delivered the charge to graduates, a simple message with great meaning.
Everything about our nation is young. Our nation is only 36 years old. Our Prime Minister is the youngest in the region, and the Dominica State College is one of the youngest in the OECS. So my charge today is that this new nation belongs to you, graduates. The future of our country is in your hands.
Leah Dodd's 2014 A-Levels Island Scholar was announced the 2014 DSC valedictorian.
From my experience here at the DSC, a group that I'm holding tightly to is a life lesson revealed to me by my respective majors. As a chemistry, biology, and mathematics major, I have come to realize a common focus among these three subject areas: balance. From the study of an ecosystem, a chemical equation, homeostasis, or mathematical equation, I have learned the importance of reaching and maintaining balance. According to dictionary.com, balance is defined as a state of bodily equilibrium, mental steadiness, or emotional stability. Needless to say, this definition does seem a bit far-fetched, as a state of mental steadiness or emotional stability is hard to achieve in a world where success and power are of utmost importance. Ironically, however, to achieve this same success and power, we must first demonstrate the characteristics of a balanced individual.
The keynote speaker, Dominican and graduate of the Clifton Dupuini Community College, Dr. Brian Winston, had some interesting encouragement for the new graduates.
God said to the oyster, I will give you a home, shelter, and food. I will put you at the bottom of the ocean so you'll be protected from your enemies. When you're hungry, open your mouth. Water will rush in with food. The oyster had everything handed to him, and he went nowhere. God also created the eagle. He said, go build your house on top of a mountain or a tree. You will have to fly miles through sun, rain, snow to get food to feed your young. And additionally, your hunts will be successful only 5% of the time. Today, the oyster is still at the bottom of the ocean while the eagle continues to soar. It's a worldwide symbol of determination, perseverance, and success. This, my friends, is my dream for you today, that you soar like an eagle. You continue to persevere. You continue to fight the odds. You continue to be you, to use your talents, your education, your gifts, not just for your advancement, but for that of your family, your friends, your community, your country, the region, and eventually the world.
In a press conference on Friday, Cuban ambassador to Dominica, Her Excellency Juana Elena Ramos, expressed gratitude to the government of Dominica for its support to Cuba in its fight against the United States embargo. Since 1917, a war measure trading with the Enemy Act was passed to restrict trade with nations considered to be hostile. However, today, this act is applicable only to Cuba. In 1960, a memorandum was signed by the Secretary of State for Western Hemisphere Affairs aimed at further crippling Cuba's economy. According to the resolution, it is impossible for the U.S. government to explain what the threat of Cuba to the United States entails.
By virtue of the embargo policy, Cuba is unable to freely export and import products and services to and from the United States. It cannot use the US dollar in its international financial transactions or have accounts in that currency in another country's bank. Nor it is permitted to access bank credits in the United States from its affiliates in other countries or from international financial institutions Institutions such as the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and or the Inter-American Development Bank. Furthermore, all ships landing in Cuba, in Cuban ports, can only enter U.S. after 180 days.
The government of Cuba says that the embargo qualifies as an act of genocide. This is according to the 1948 Convention on the Prevention of Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. Nevertheless, the resolution went on to state Cuba and the U.S. are not at war. Ambassador Ramos laments that this situation has hindered her country's development.
The embargo, of course, inflicts significant adverse effects on the material, psychological, and spiritual well-being of the Cuban people, and it imposes serious obstacles upon its economic, cultural, and social development. No one single area of life for the Cuban people is untouched by the destructive action imposed by this illegal policy. At current prices, during all these years, the embargo has caused damages on the Cuban people for more than $116,880 million US.
The resolution to be presented by Cuba to the United Nations, entitled Necessity of Ending the Economic, Commercial and Financial Embargo Imposed by the United States of America against Cuba, contains numerous examples of damage caused by the embargo from April 2013 to June 2014. On October 28th, Cuba will present the draft resolution to the United Nations General Assembly for the 23rd consecutive time. 188 member states, including Dominica, acknowledge and support the Cuban people in their struggle for lifting of the embargo.
Public opinion polls done in the U.S. by prestigious academic institutions reveal the growing rejection of U.S. citizens towards the obsolete U.S. government policy against Cuba. The embargo against Cuba must end. It is the most unfair, severe, and prolonged system of unilateral sanctions that has ever been applied against any country. I also would like to take the opportunity to express our gratitude to the Dominican people and government for their permanent support to the Cuban people in the struggle for the lifting of the embargo.
Cuba and Dominica established diplomatic relations in 1996 and the Cuban embassy set up on the island in 2005. Heads of state and government and other representatives of the countries that make up the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our Americas, ALBA, will meet in Havana on October 20 to address the prevention and fight against the Ebola epidemic currently hitting Western and Central Africa. The Havana meeting will define joint contribution to this health challenge and to prevent the dissemination of the disease in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has commended the Venezuelan leader, His Excellency Nicolas Maduro, for convening next week's summit.
This is the first leader in the Americas, and indeed the world, who has reached out and said, look, we need to have a global response to the Ebola pandemic. And it speaks of the kind-heartedness of the Venezuelan people. It speaks to the caring for the less fortunate and the struggles which many countries and citizens have to go through. So we really want to commend the leadership exemplified again by the people of Venezuela in being the first country in the world to convene a meeting of heads to discuss this Ebola crisis.
Member countries of ALBA such as Cuba have already begun joining efforts in the fight against Ebola.
Ban Ki-moon, the General Secretary of the UN, he asked a group of countries to support African countries affected by the Ebola disease, to do something in that. The answer of our government was to send a medical brigade to these countries. 165 doctors and nurses are now in Sierra Leone. And another group is preparing in Cuba to go to Liberia and Guinea. This is the most affected countries because the Ebola. And also, our medical brigade in other African countries, they are preparing, they are there, they will continue there, and they are preparing in order to support countries in case of the disease enter these countries.
A new meteorological office is to form part of the pilot program for climate resilience. Project coordinator Colin Gay says this component is critical to reduce the impact of climate change.
Meteorological data is very critical. If you're talking about climate change, I have no debate about climate change, and we don't have data, critical data, to support our argument, then we are lost. So what we understood is that, what we realized is that there are many different sectors, many different departments in Dominica that are doing their own thing when it comes to weather. Agriculture, forestry, the WASCO, Domelec, the Met Office. So this is an opportunity so that all these different departments can come, you could rationalize the Met services and the activities. So if you're talking about Met Office being the central repository for all this Met data and analysis, there has to be properly housed. So this is very critical.
A complete hydrometeorological assessment for Dominica will be undertaken, and the installation of automated weather stations and stream gauges. An emergency component will also be part of the project and will cost $1 million. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce comes up next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ce nouvel en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominique a 11 contrats à valeur $2 millions et puis travailler à Penville pour travailler réhabilitation chez mes villages là. Ces 11 contracteurs là, c'est contrat jeudi en l'office Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt bon matin là. Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt qui est aussi membre parlement pour Penville pour y assister contracteurs là pour prendre charge projet là. C'est ça yo.
11 contrats que aujourd'hui là pour bâtir un chemin à Penville. C'est chemin main chemin là à Penville. Comme ça nous tenons un projet gros qui coûtait plus que $3 millions. Et puis nous prenons une décision pour faire chemin là encore pour bâtir ces drains là et puis chemin là présent. So aujourd'hui là, ça nous a fait, nous a signé ces contrats là. Et puis 11 contracteurs à Penville même. So il y a point de charge pour bâtir chemin là. Nous avons servi concrete pour bâtir chemin là. Et puis moi j'espère que il y a point plaisir pour faire chemin là. C'est chemin yo même. Moi c'est même pas parler moi. Mais c'est yo qui a vivre et puis rester en Penville, c'est chemin yo. So je espère que yo que bâtir de manière tout le monde Penville et puis moi-même que ni plaisir et puis que content ça yo fait puis chemin là.
Honorable Skerritt bien plaisir pour l'argent là qui a dépensé en Penville.
$2 millions plus. You can taper tariff là hot Penville même. So seul but you can gagner de Penville c'est ciment. So ça c'est $2 millions qui restent en économie Penville. C'est en poche c'est mon là Penville. So boutique qui vend plus you can faire petit shopping yo, c'est course yo. So you can payer petit bills yo et des enfants pour aller à l'école. So c'est un petit faire.
À la nouvelle, Dominique est bien représenté en grande conférence énergie renouvelable qui prend place à Miami. Ministre énergie Honorable Ribbon Blackmore représente Dominique en meeting là.
Nous avons mis un pile d'antiwi à ce bagage énergie géothermique. Nous avons bâti T2, ça qui est test wells. Nous avons bâti ça qui est production well pour produire énergie. Et bien, ça sont bagage qui marche bien pour nous. Il y a une grosse conférence en pays à Miami. Et bien, ils ont invité moi comme ministre énergie Dominique pour faire une présentation. Ça nous a fait à Dominique pour nous arriver à une place où nous avons energy security. Et bien, nous présenter pour eux ça nous a fait en geothermic energy. Et bien, ils sont tout bien contents. Et bien, European Union pledge plus l'argent pour nous à Dominique pour supporter nous et pour nous pour avancer energy geothermal. Ce sont des choses qui sont bien importantes pour nous à Dominique.
En autre nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique bien avancé pour lancer pilot programme pour mitigation changement climatique, ça a créé climate resilience. Projet ça là qui commençait à taper attention en décembre l'année 2013, quand a PC pour financier World Bank la terre. Agrément légal pour programme ça là c'est en juin l'année ça là. En même temps aussi, coordinateur pour le projet la Colin Guest fait parole que le projet ça là bien important pour Dominique et puis il s'est posé implémenter bien formidable. Projet ça là qui a 4 aspects qui mettent attention à ces manières pour manager des as et puis ça fait support implémentation pour combattre. Officier Banque la Terre qui joint et puis Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, ministre Environ Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, en parmi d'autres officiers pour lancer ce programme-là, lundi qui vient. Et puis finalement, préparation bien avancée pour le Festival Créole Mondial l'année 2014. Parole celle-là sur l'ordre officier d'IFC, Mademoiselle Marve Williams.
Mais généralement, nous avouons que nous sommes plus que moins aussi maintenant plus pour le Festival Dominique. Et nous sommes confortables quand c'est nous qui a présenté le festival là. Comme nous dit que tout bité à papier, nous allons mettre ça en ordre. Mais nous avons espoir que c'est nous qui a travaillé et puis nous, et puis c'est nous l'office là même. Depuis, ils mettent tout bité comme nous avons discuté, comme nous d'accord. Nous avons espoir que tout bité qui est bien présenté pour 3 nuits festival là. Nous savons que c'est nous qui a organisé là qui a organisé musique et tout bagaille bite yo là en Dominique et yo ja commencé travail nous jani Moonhod Saint-Lucie pour organiser venue là où la festival là qui prend place yo là et nous qu'a bien apprécié c'est moun nous qu'a travailler puis et généralement nous on savent tout bite pas que toujours sorti qu'on voulait, tout bite pas que toujours perfect, mais nous avons espoir que ces petits bite là qui est venu, c'est pas que bite grand qui empêché le festival là continuer. Nous avons espoir que depuis tout le monde fait ça pour faire festival là qui est présenté de la meilleure manière là nous peut faire.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins c'est McPherson Luce. Ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your tip of the day.
DOWASCO recognizes that clean water is vital to healthy living. Therefore, it spares no effort in providing a clean, safe, and reliable system. Help keep our rivers safe and clean. Do not cut trees along the river banks and do not pollute with garbage, human or animal feces, and chemicals. Think water, think life.
It is easy to get in a diet rut even if you're loading up on fruits and veggies. The solution: have plenty of spices, fresh herbs and lemons at your cooking beck and call. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and your comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. Like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Mervin. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.